The explanation now is about the use of HTML and web pages, so you can understand how web pages work. So first of all, I want to explain the concept here in the board, and then I want to show you how HTML looks like. So basically, web pages are a resource that is shared through the internet, but it is something that you could think of as, let's call it service and a request. So right here, what we have is a request of a web page using a web browser, and to do that, these two computers need to talk the same language, and the language is called the HTTP protocol, or even the HTTPS protocol. So these two protocols are two ways to both ask and reply web pages or web resources in a network or through the internet. So this is the client, the computer that is asking for things. This is the server, the computer that is providing these things. And let's say that here this computer has what we call a web page. Now a web page is just a file, is a text file that has different types of code, or maybe it's just different files. So we can have, for example, HTML code, CSS code, and JavaScript code, and they are all stored in the web server. That we can even have more files to create the page, but what HTML, CSS, and JS do, or JavaScript does, is to describe the structure, describe the presentation, and describe the interactions or the interactivity of a website. So structure is HTML, presentation is CSS, and interaction is JavaScript. So all this information is packed and then is broken into pieces, and each one of these pieces is called a package, and then this package is sent from this computer to the internet. So let's say that this is the green package, and this package is then being sent from this computer through the internet, through the different nodes in the internet, and then arrives to this network and is being sent to this computer. And once we have all the packages here reconstructed, then they are reorganized, and then they're given to this computer, and that's when you see the web page in your computer. So all this is possible because there is this set of rules called the HTTP and the HTTPS protocol, and also because we have a very defined structured language called HTML, CSS, and JS that describe how a web page looks. So just to have an idea of how that code looks, we can just check in any web browser, any web page, and see how the code looks. So let me just give you baidu.com, and you can see that if you inspect the code of that page, you're going to see what I mentioned. This is HTML, for example. This is the CSS is some should be here. Look, it says that there is a file called PreAS CSS, and all this is talking about the style and the way it looks. And you have scripts here that are providing the functionality of the website. Now it's very hard to understand there, so I'm going to show you in a different file how it looks. So here, for example, I have this example web page, and this is HTML. So as I said, HTML is talking about just the structure. So in the structure, I see that I have here 3 sections: a header, a body, and a footer. Inside the header, I just have one reference to the other file that I need, which is the CSS file, and I have just one link. We're going to see how that looks. In the body, I have just one title, that is computer science class. I have one picture, another title, and then a paragraph. So all this code is what makes possible to see the web pages that you see in the web browsers. Here I have a footer with just 2 links. So as you can see, this is very ugly to see, I mean, for a human. So web browsers, they just translate this code and make it look beautiful for you. So if I open that file of the web page, then what you're going to see is this, right? So this code is what makes possible this to be looking like that. So this picture is something that I get from the internet, and what I'm doing here, look, is using again the HTTPS protocol to bring that picture to this website and to this computer so I can see it here. So what I'm doing here is I'm using the web browser as the client, and this file should be in the server. In this case, the server is the same computer. So my computer has these 2 files, the HTML and the CSS. And the HTML, as I said, is just the structure, but the file that is telling this computer how the web page should look is this right here. So for example, in the CSS, you can say, for example, what's the color of the letter, what type of letter I'm going to use, what is the background color for that specific section. So here I'm talking about the body section. So if I go here to body, all this text, all this paragraph is going to have applied this style. So let's do one example here and change, for example, the color. So I'm going to change the light blue to red, so you can see the difference really quickly. So I save the file here, and when I reload this page, then all the background is red, which is horrible. So let me just let's call it light blue. Okay, so now if I reload the page, it looks a little bit better. So again, all this file here is saying what I want for each specific section. It's even telling the computer that I want this to be center. I want this this website to be center. I want this link to look pink. I want this letter to be I don't know what font I used. For example, I'm using Arial font, right? The type of font that I'm using for the website, and everything that is related with how the website looks and what's the style of the website is going to be determined by this file, and this file is going to determine the structure. Again, all this possible by using the HTTPS protocol. So whenever you look for a website, you're going to see that the first part is the protocol, the second part is the address of the server, and then you're going to find then inside that the different sections of that website. So for example, if we look at bndsedu.com, you're going to see that this website first, the protocol that we're using now is not HTTPS. We're all using HTTP, and the difference is that HTTP is not encrypted, HTTPS is encrypted, so this is very unsecure. Now, after you look at that, I mean, if I click in any other section, you're going to see that it's redirecting me to another file. So if I if I go to this section, then this part here is going to change, so I'm changing the file. So in the book, that's I would say that is summarized but well explained. So again, HTML is just the language that we use to see web pages. One part is the HTML code is the structure, and the presentation is left to another language, which is called the CSS language, and it stands for Cascading Style Sheet. And here you can see an example of very similar to what I did. This is the CSS, so it explains what's the color, font, text for the file, and it divides it in different sections like H1, H3, right? And this one right here is the HTML, which divides the different sections of the web page, and it defines how it is going to be organized only. It also provides a reference to the style sheet that we are using. So that's just what I showed you just a few minutes ago. And we also use the HTTP protocol, and the HTTP protocol is just a set of rules or a language that we have between computers so they can communicate. And HTTPS, when we have HTTPS, the S refers to secure, which means that the transmissions are encrypted. So that means that even if there is someone looking at the code that we're sending, it's not going to be able to reproduce it in the web browser because it's going to be encrypted. The web browser is just an application that is able to read that code, the HTML code, and transform it into a beautiful thing that you see as a web page. And they have certain features. I mean, they can let you move forward and backwards between the pages, and you can define a home page, and you can also store the favorite websites that you have. And another thing important is what I mentioned, that the first part when you're talking about trying to get one resource from the internet is first the protocol that you use, second is the server name, and the third is the resource or the file that you're looking for. So that's about it. So I hope this video makes it a little bit more clear. The idea is for you to, after you look at the video, then you read the whole section. The section is going to be 2.4.3, and with that in mind, then we should be able to then answer some questions for the chapter and end with this chapter. Alright guys, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.